Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress with me, Qualification. And I got something very awesome to show you guys. But while we're on the surface, let's just go ahead and take a look at what's been done here. This area here remains the same. Still have all the gatehouse hooked up to everything and the levers hooked up to the same drawbridges. But you'll notice the ground looks slightly different here. These are roads, and I'm building these because the only thing we really lack to become the capital of our civilization, and you can see if I hit N to go to noble screen and hit C for the capital screen, all we need is just road value. We are more than way over our architectural value and offerings to the home civilization. So all we're really waiting on is just building lots of roads. And my plan right now is to build a road all the way to the edges of the map, so that traders will be able to more easily get to our fortress, I suppose, although they seem to have made it fine in the last few times. Human merchant is leaving the fortress right now. But the really awesome thing that I want to show you is that thanks to Taco Truck, who posted in the comment section, I now know how to hide loose stone. That means that the fortress can look a lot better. Like, watch this. Go to this thing and hit my regular designations, and I can hit H, and you'll see all that blue stuff. That is all loose stone. And if I am in the hide menu, it'll show up, but every other time it just disappears from my screen, which makes it much easier to like look at the fortress and see kind of like what it really looks like from the ground level. But let's go down to the commons area. We have had, obviously you see I've carved out the other apartment block here. I have not started on the actual housing part of it yet, but I did get the lobby floor carved out. I did make quite a few changes here. You can see these statues are like white now. That means they're platinum. So this room is made into a statue garden. Dwarves come in here randomly and sit around and talk to each other. These are like kind of grayish stools. Those are made of tin. And then these chests are also made of tin, just increasing the room value using some of the ores that we can't really do anything with. These doors here, all the ones to the bank, vault, trade emporium, are all made of gold. Let's see. I'm in the process of engraving the industrial building. I've got the first floor all sorted out, and then the second floor is like halfway done. It goes up a little bit more, slightly more, and then not very much on the top floor. But if you go to the dining hall slash skyscraper cafe thing, second floor has its stockpile designated and moved quite a bit of food in here. Haven't set up the actual dining area yet, but I think for this floor I'm going to be using not just this portion, but also this portion on the side, so that'll be a lot more roomy. If you'll notice on the apartment block here, there have been windows installed in every room now. Well, every room that's bordering the wall. There are 6 rooms that don't have any windows. I don't know if I'll put windows in. I might put one in by the hallway, just so they get a window too. But in any case, the corners have 2 windows, one on the each edge of the room. Everyone else just gets one. And we've had a lot of windows being constantly made. We've had a lot of glass stuff being made. So our glass industry has really taken off, and it's allowed me to do that. So that's pretty cool. The second floor of the bank has been engraved, carved out, smoothed, everything. The third floor completely finished for right now, anyways. We have the manager's office hooked up for Elite Gamer, and then the windows are installed now. And Elite Gamer no longer has any labors besides just being a manager, which means that as far as Dwarf Therapist is concerned, he doesn't have any labors at all. So as soon as I issue a job list order, or whatever it's called, work order, then he will go up to his office and sign it. All the other times, he's kind of like socializing with the rest of the dwarves. I have been making lots of crafts and putting them down here in the lower part of the depot. You can see we obviously have a lot of stuff here compared to the last video. And as a result, in the last trade, I was able to buy the entire human caravan, except for like splints and stuff, which I didn't want. But pretty much everything they had, I was able to buy for like 5 bins, due to the fact that we've now actually started making some metal crafts as well as encrusting our crafts and studying them with metal, especially gold and platinum, which has really increased the value of our trades. What else? Oh yes, the lower levels. If you go down here, this is where our short-term military base, mainly for the purposes of the prison, is going to be. 4 cells. I can expand it in the future. And then we have Judge Distraction's new office here with 2 coffers to store his random crap, and then our armor and weapons rack. So he'll be able to run around and beat the crap out of people in style now. He has actually just delivered another beating to someone since the last episode. And if I go to the justice screen, you can see that was just a random unnamed dwarf glassmaker. And the combat logs have long since disappeared, but basically what happened was a distraction walked up to him and broke his hands while he was exiting his workshop after he had just created a glass portal. And so now the glassmaker has crippled hands. But at least I guess our mayor is satisfied that justice was delivered. To avoid future senseless beatings, I'm developing some chains, which I will put down here in the prison, so that instead of having to beat the crap out of dwarves who break the law, we will be able to just stick them in a cell for a little while. And it's not going to be a cell that is like horrible dungeony, awful to be in cell, because in reality, a crime in the fortress is very rarely actually something that I would consider a punishable offense. If a dwarf actually attacks another dwarf, then sure, we might punish them a little bit. But as far as most crimes go, you're just disobeying a noble's orders, and that definitely does not deserve a broken hands. But whatever. Down here you can see there's lots of bins. These are all full of metals, specifically the metals aluminum, platinum, gold, and silver, and their various different types like horn silver and nickel silver and all that. So we have very valuable bins full of bars there, and it's set up right next to the Craft Dwarf's workshop down here, so that whenever one of the random dwarves gets taken by a mood, they will be much more likely, if they are going to use a Craft Dwarf's workshop, to head down here and grab some gold or platinum and really make an awesome artifact. Speaking of artifacts, since the last episode we've had a new artifact, actually, yeah, just one. It was created by Ranos, and it is Exit Buried, the Jaws of Tempting, an Ashen Amulet. Not very valuable, only coming in at 8,400 dwarf bucks. However, considering the actual regular cost of one of these artifacts, or one of these items, just an amulet, it's probably like a 5,000% increase in value, so that's pretty good. This is an ashen amulet. All crafts worship as the highest quality. It's decorated with ash, and the object menaces with spikes of cave spider silk and siltstone. On the item is an image of Dewsim Lostpole the dwarf in smoky quartz. On the item is an image of cedars in horsebone. So yeah, neat little item to add to our collection. I have been using work orders a lot more now. You can see here the main work orders that I have right now are the ones dealing with creating bronze armor for our dwarves. We have got plenty of weapons. I think the ones that I'm going to use first off, and I'll be making a squad of 5 dwarves with the highest combat skills, and they will be the permanent military squad, who will always be patrolling. I'm obviously going to have more permanent squads, but they're going to be the elite, the best of the best. And for now, they're going to be assigned all bronze armor because bronze is the best armor we have. Far more durable than iron, and just a better material overall. So bronze will be the armor of choice among our combat dwarves, at least for the time being, and the weapons will be silver battle axes, because silver is an awesome material, and battle axes are the hallmark of dwarven society, so it makes sense to combine the two. Um, Other than all of that, there is still the issue of the river, but I now know, or at least I have an idea of why it's not flowing. It appears that the river is flowing from the south, and I turned off temperature a couple episodes back in order to like increase my FPS, but I didn't really notice any difference. I don't think I ever had any FPS worries to begin with. So I'm probably going to turn that back on in the next video. But for now, I'll just leave it be. What I'm considering doing is blocking off this old fortress here, or putting another floodgate in right here to stop the flow of water, and using this whole area right here to produce crops in. I'm not sure whether or not I want to do that right now, but I mean, as far as using farmland goes, I mean, there could certainly be a worse idea. So that's on the agenda, perhaps. Definitely in the near term, I'm looking to expand our military and our guard. But other than that, we're just kind of waiting on the job orders to get done and hauling crap around, digging out new areas of apartments, and having life as usual go on. I noticed there was at least a modicum of interest in my idea for using or a day in the life of a dwarf template, and I think there was one suggestion. I don't remember who it was by. I think it was Cyber Viking, but I'm not sure. It might have been League Gamer, and they suggested that basically every 5 episodes or so, I put in a shorter episode of the sort of day in the life thing, and then I just like catalog 5 different dwarves or however many for one episode. So I think that'd be a pretty good format to do, and look for that in the future. And again, we'll just see if it's popular enough. I'll continue the format. If not, whatever. Nothing, no harm done. So yeah, let's go ahead and just let the fortress run for a little bit. Hopefully get these job orders done and then start training our military. While that's happening, let's go ahead and start designating out the new floor on the apartment block A, as it were. And the layout for this is going to be simple. One thing I've noticed is that we have gotten migrants several times now, despite the fact that I've already gone past my population cap, which was set at 200. But now I believe we're like at 220, maybe like 218 or something, which I'm a little bit concerned about. It has not impacted my FPS as far as I know. I don't have the FPS counter going, but I haven't noticed the dwarves moving any slower. So no gameplay performance issues as far as I can tell. It's just going to be a managerial problem, and in fact, we're actually going to have to worry about space. I thought that the massive size of these apartments and the fact that there's 2 of them would be able to deal with any kind of population issues, considering that these 2 buildings can hold 200 dwarves by themselves. But we're going to have over 200 dwarves. We're already over 200 dwarves, so we're going to have expanded housing, no doubt about that. And I don't know where to put that at the moment, but again, it's a project to look to in the future, and definitely an issue that needs sorting out. I've tried in the recent video, or in the intervening period between the last video and this one, to give every dwarf a coffer and a cabinet in their room, as well as I'm trying to get all the windows done, which I think has really increased our fortress happiness levels. And I think right now everybody except babies and our Baron, Joseph Stalin, is ecstatic or is really happy. Because when I last checked Dwarf Fortress, I only saw a few yellow squares, and the only ones that stood out were all babies and Joseph Stalin. And again, the reason that he's going to have a little bit of issue with the temperament is going to be because as we're developing the lower levels, there's going to be a lot more extravagance poured down here than there was on the upper levels, simply because now we've actually got a lot of industry going, and I want to kind of make things nicer for the dwarven population as a whole, which is going to cause him to have a little bit of like a ego crisis, because the thing about nobles is, if they're high enough rank, if they're important enough, self-important enough, they don't want anyone to have better stuff than them. And even though Joseph Stalin has like a massive bedroom and a tomb and a humongous dining room and a statue garden and an office and a bunch of stuff and all that, including statues and coffers and weapon racks and all kinds of stuff, the fact that all of these dwarves are getting really nice stuff is making him upset, especially since I've engraved tons and tons of stuff down here. And I've kind of used the engravings as kind of a underground road system, whereby the dwarves have had traffic areas designated. Well, I'm going to do that right now, actually. Set up traffic areas all along this the roadway, and I'll put them as high traffic areas. And all the traffic areas do is make it so that if your dwarf is kind of idling around, does not have a job, that they will go through the lowest point costing venues. And high traffic areas have like a point cost of 0, and a regular area has a point cost of 1. And then you can set low, where it increases the point cost, I believe, to 2. And basically, it'll just affect it so that if they want to go somewhere just to idle around, like go talk to another dwarf or go to a meeting hall or something, then they will take the areas with high traffic routes, because the point cost is significantly lower, and thus the dwarves will kind of convalesce along the same sort of pathways. And for down here, that's all going to be along the engraved sort of roadways that we have. And I'll be putting normal traffic, actually, I'll put low traffic areas around the edges here, just so that dwarves don't idle around in this outer portion. And that's just like almost purely aesthetic thing. It doesn't serve any functional purpose that I can think of at the moment. Certainly there are going to be parts of the fortress where traffic areas could be useful. I just don't bother really messing with them all that often, because dwarves tend to always be going a direct route anyways. Like if they're going to go to a craft dwarf's workshop, they're going to go the quickest way to the craft dwarf's workshop in terms of actual distance. They don't really care about the point cost issue. So it only really affects idlers. And then also there is the restricted traffic option, but I have no need of setting that up at the moment. I mean, sure, if there's a in the future, if there's any like dangerous areas that I don't want the dwarves going through, I'll set it up as a restricted traffic area. Certainly if I wanted to have people walking around and I turn the temperature back on and they're going outside, I'll tell them to avoid the river, because again, the river can thaw out at any time and then they would drown, so that'd be bad. One notable thing about this fortress is that we've had like 3 deaths, and that's it, and all of them have been due to fey moods. Well, not fey moods, strange moods. So the fortress has not had a significantly high mortality rate, and in fact, we've had a very like unusually high birth rate. I mean, just like on this screen, I think there's probably like, right, there's 1 child. I bet someone here is carrying a baby. Yeah, apparently this dude right here is carrying a baby, and like half of our dwarves have babies. Like, well, not half, maybe like 1 in 10 dwarves have babies. That's a huge number of babies, and I don't think there's any way to stop that from occurring. Unlike immigration, you can't really put a bar on natural reproduction, so far as I know. So the fortress population, as time goes on, will continue to rise, because I don't think dwarves can die just of aging. I don't think they can die like a natural causes. So what that makes me believe is that because the majority of our dwarves are never going to see combat, and the ones that do are going to be very well equipped and very well trained by the time they have to enter it, we probably won't see relative to most other fortresses, that many fatalities. So I don't think we're going to have a very Malthusian Malth Malthusian acceptable uh, fortress going on, because the death rates are going to be virtually zero, and the birth rates are incredibly high, and the immigration rates are also high, and yet we still have roughly the same amount of territory to work with, at least as far as farming and water goes. And as far as Malthus is concerned, that's definitely not a good combination. But then again, I mean, Malthus was not exactly the most credible guy. And these are dwarves, and this is Dwarf Fortress. So take that, Malthus. Wonder what the heck this stuff is that they carry out. I'll have to go to V to check. It looks like they're carrying coal or something. Store item in a bin. Okay, what do you got in your inventory? You are hauling cobaltite bracelets. So apparently bracelets look like bituminous coal. Interesting. See how many glass windows we have at the moment. Just 2. I think I just recently had used a bunch of them over here. But one of the really awesome things about this hide feature is that now I virtually never have to dump any objects, because uh, the dwarves won't place an object on top of uh, another one unless it's marked for needing to be there. Like, they won't run around and dump barrels on top of tables unless they're using the barrel or whatever. They're not just going to leave it around. They do, however, do that with random bags they own. And so one of the nice things is I can go in and just make those bags hidden. And if you go over to this area, you'll see, well, apparently they moved all their bags somewhere else. But they usually keep a bunch of these crappy little rope reed fiber bags around. I guess they might have stuffed them into their coffers. It's interesting. I don't know. There were 15 of them at least just sitting around on the first floor alone. So yeah, that's definitely one interesting aspect here. And I'm just going to hide this random bucket sitting on the ground because no one's moving it, so whatever. Hiding makes it so that it doesn't show up on my screen, but they will still actually use it. So we don't have to worry about dwarves avoiding the use of an object like we do with dumping an object. And also it doesn't require any hauling, and it doesn't require any actual labor from the dwarves. It just requires me to be sort of cognizant. And it's really awesome for me because, as you know if you've watched my other videos, I'm very I don't want to say organized, but I'm very big fan of kind of a symmetrical layout and kind of clean surroundings. Well, it looks like the dwarves are indeed using the pathing, because you can see none of them are straying off over into these columned areas. Now they will, if they need to go do a job, like I'm assuming this guy is going to either eat or drink or, I don't know, work at a crafts workshop or something, because he just went through the columned area. But regularly dwarves will just, walk along this pile here. Let's go ahead and check the animals, make sure there's no new slaughterable things. Doesn't look like it. I have kept a stray cow and bull this whole time unslaughtered, just in case I ever need to seriously breed a whole bunch of meat. I have a male and a female ready to go. Take a look at some of our dwarves' thoughts right now. Pick someone with a name. Linen Cat's here, one of our long-term dwarves. So let's check out your thoughts. Linen Cat has been quite content lately, dined in a fantastic dining room, had a pretty decent drink lately, slept in a very good bedroom, been tired lately, has complained of thirst, admired a fine cabinet, admired her own fine bed, had been satisfied at work, was nauseated by the sun, and was irritated by the sun. The reason for that is because Linen Cat has been our mason, and mechanic and a stone detailer for a really long time. And oh, actually, I'll go back to checking Lynn and Cat real quick. And as a result, has had to like go outside and build roads recently. But from the majority of her time at the fortress, or his, I guess, time at the fortress, Lynn and Cat has been stuck in the stone crafter's workshop, just pumping out items for us. So has not had a lot of sun exposure, and so now has become cave adapted, and now that has to go outside and build roads, is getting a little bit sick of doing that. So apparently is friends with Luke Wiki, Che Flagel, Cyber Viking, Pedro, Joseph Stalin, and is only a long-term acquaintance with me. So apparently, like usually the first 7, they'll all be friends. But I guess we had a falling out or something because you probably would have been my friend since we have known each other for a really long time, but we're only long-term acquaintances. So that means you've known me for a really long time, and you've talked to me quite a bit, but you don't really like me. And I guess the feeling is probably mutual between our dwarves. Usually they don't have like a friend tag on one and a passing acquaintance on another. I don't even think that can happen. But that's certainly interesting to see that there's a little bit of enmity between Lynn and Cat and Calification. Might be having to do something with the fact that their workshops were situated right next to each other and they competed for the same amount of stone to get their jobs done. I don't know. Or maybe there's like mutual interest in Joseph Stalin and I won out. Oh ho. Let's check your gods. Istrath is a deity of the Road of Basins and most often takes the form of a male dwarf and is associated with wealth. Okay, wealth, and then Valal is the fortress. No, okay, never mind, that's a different one. Valal is the deity of the Road of Basins. Valal most often takes the form of a female dwarf and is associated with mountains, volcanoes, fire, metals, minerals, and jewels. Well, that's certainly interesting. Kind of fitting. I mean, I would have expected a little bit more of a earthy kind of worshipping from someone who's been for so long our stoneworker. But that's fine if you want to like volcanoes and metal. Oh yeah, there was something that happened on this blurb that I didn't explain. The reason all this crap's laying around is because there used to be a bunch of carpenter's workshop on this floor, but I realized I really don't need that many carpenter's workshops, and I needed a bunch of other workshops. So what I did was go ahead and basically axe a bunch of those carpenter's workshops and put in some other more useful stuff, like these jewelers' workshops, which have been encrusting things with onyx. And we have like hundreds of onyx alone, and we have plenty of other jewels. So that's been making us a lot more money. And then we have these 2 carpenters' workshops down here. I'm considering completely getting rid of all the workshops on the upper levels, but there's still a few things like the butcher's area that I can't completely axe simply because we don't have any space for those kind of things down here. Same goes for the clothier. Don't have any room to store the cloth needed. I suppose there could be a small cloth stockpile here. Go ahead and do that, actually. In the recent trade that the humans had with me, where I bought their whole caravan, they brought probably, maybe 50 bins of cloth and leather. More migrants, wonderful. And so now we're probably never, ever, 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 ever going to have to worry about running out of pigtail and rope reed fibers and cloth, because I mean literally like 50 bins full of that cloth were delivered. As well, they brought like individually probably like 400 pieces of wood, and that's just sitting there in the trade depot. And every time we need to add 1 piece of wood to the stockpile down here, they'll just carry it on over from the depot. So we've obviously got a humongous amount of those resources, which we're really never going to have to worry about acquiring again. And again, I've noticed that the caravans have been, as they usually do, increasing the amount of products they bring every single time they come here. So it's quite awesome to be able to buy out a whole caravan with like 5 bins and get back like 15 or 16 bins in return. I mean, realistically, I'm just selling them useless trinkets and they're giving me valuable resources. I don't really know why they would even want to like buy bracelets from me. It doesn't seem like bracelets would be any good to them. But they are very nice, and I'm really big fans of the humans in this game, at least in this particular fortress. They've been really awesome so far. I mean, they always compliment my awesome fortress when they come here. And that's all the human diplomat ever seems to do, is just say, quite a nice place you've dug out for yourself here. And then he leaves. But he does actually show up, unlike the elves, who pretty much just show up, deliver their 5 pieces of wood and goat cheese, and then leave. Uh, and I'm no fan of the elves at all, but very soon, once our military is well equipped and ready, that we're going to destroy those horrible tree-loving miscreants. So let's check our work orders. We are down to only needing 1 bronze shield, 1 bronze high boot, 1 bronze breastplate, 1 bronze mail shirt, and 2 bronze greaves. And then we will be completely finished with forging the first set of metal for our first squad, which will be headed by Link. I did notice there was an immigrant who had extremely good military skills in one of the more recent ones, but he was a hammer dwarf. I don't have any hammers made at the moment. I might consider just giving him one, just for whatever's sake. But I don't know at the moment. I kind of wanted to have a uniform army of axe-bearing dwarves. Okay, so now we put some cloth bins down there. Go ahead and build a clothier's workshop. I believe that's K. Yes, and put that right here. Make it out of microline. Why not? Or microcline rather. Which I believe is, yes, this white sort of stone with blue detail. And in the other graphics packs, it shows up just as a blue stone. And microcline is pretty awesome as far as stone goes, because it kind of looks gray on this pack at first, and then it can also look blue, which is pretty cool. Alright, so you see I just hid all of those items, which means now I don't have to worry about stone at all. And I can go ahead and just completely have my way with this floor and start setting up beds. This will add another 20 population capacity to the fortress, which is always good. Unfortunately, it's not going to be near enough to sate the need for housing in the fortress. Whoops, I accidentally misplaced that one. And I found it's much more efficient to use work orders than just having a task repeated over and over again, because workshops can become cluttered. I always wondered what this little thing in the top left of a workshop meant that says CLT. I'll show you, for instance, if I can find a cluttered workshop. There's probably one around here. Yeah, like this glass furnace is cluttered. That means even if it's just one piece of it's cluttered, and it will go twice as slow. And if it's completely cluttered, like there are some on the first floor that are like that, in our original Craftworks workshop, like this one right here, it will be 10 times as slow to complete any tasks from this area, which means it's obviously not optimal to put it on repeat and let it sit there, unless you have large stockpiles. So what I've done, obviously down here, is used a lot of bins to increase my stockpile storage space, as well as just designated large areas of the ground to actually be used as stockpiles. So that's definitely handy. I don't know why we never have any pigtail seeds. I mean, I see pigtails growing sometimes, but it seems like our farmers like run out of seeds faster than they can like do anything else. Cause like I don't get it. You should get at least like 1 seed per pigtail, and yet we're never able to complete the amount of farmland that we have. Plum helmets, we always get excess seeds. We have like 7 trillion plum helmet seeds. But we're also able to completely fill up the plum helmet farm every single time. Not so with pigtails. Those are the only 2 crops we're still growing at the moment. And I really do want to expand out to other crops, but there's just no space for it. And I'd like to put the farms down here now. Unfortunately, it's just not in the cards until we can find a source of water close enough. And I really don't want to have to bring water all the way from the aqueduct, to the aquifer here, to the ground level, because that's a long ways to transport water. And again, every time that I transport water, I have to be using space that could have been used for building. So that's definitely not optimal. Okay, it looks like almost all of the jobs are complete. Just completed 2 more, and then there's only 1 left on all those. So that's going well. One thing I don't get is, like, I have tons of metalsmiths forge, and I know I have tons of metalsmiths as well, including weaponsmiths, blacksmiths, every kind of smith available. We have tons of them, and yet we almost never have anybody working at the forges. I don't get it. Might be because they have to go and grab fuel from somewhere else. I'm not sure, but we do have tons of metal right there, so interesting dilemma. I think I have enough tin chairs. Yeah, I have 3. So I can use those to start placing more lobby seats on that side of the room there. Just so that idling people, like all the random people standing around in here, have something to do. Statue garden. Check the noble screen, make sure there's not any mandates I'm missing out on. Okay, just can't export random crap. Sounds good. Wonder if I can check. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to check if there's anything stored inside of armor or weapon racks. But let's go ahead and take a weapon stockpile and put it right here for the time being. And one right here. Just so we'll have some area to put all of our weapons in. And I think weapon stockpiles use bins as well. It's really awesome to be able to look at this whole project I've completed and not worry about any loose stone anywhere. Like, it looks like it's been hammered out, and something that I would have been working on for ages, but I could do it in like mere seconds, thanks to Taco Truck's tip about hiding items. Alright, well, things are just progressing down here normally. I'm going to go up to the surface and check out the roads, see how those are going. Yeah, it looks like all the roads that have been set up so far have been completed. Go ahead and hit O to do paved roads. Oh, by the way, someone asked me, I don't remember who it was, to do a tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. I might do that. I'd have to use a new fortress, though, because I wouldn't want to use an already developed one as an example, because a lot of the stuff about Dwarf Fortress that you need to know is not so much late game information, but the extremely early game stuff. Because that's the stuff that gets you killed. So yeah, I think I might do that in the future. And by future, I mean over the next few days. Just making that out of siltstone. We did have a few bolts made for our hunter, but only a few, and I didn't intend them to be immediately used. But we apparently had a hunter who already had a crossbow and everything, so they went out there and started shooting random animals, brought them inside, but not really a fan of that whole situation. And I need to smooth that area out. It's been bothering me for some time. Also this section down here. There we go. I really wish that roads were they had a different texture to them, because the way they look is just kind of I much prefer the style of like the cobbled, smoothed out tiles than even the paved roads, because these are all paved here, and they're made of siltstone, which is why they're brownish colored. Okay, bronze breastplate completed. Any others? Okay, now we're just waiting on the shield, mail shirt, and greaves. And we finally have one of those golden chains ready for deployment. I'm going to put it right here. And we have two, it looks like. That will enable us to start using these things for justice. And by justice, we really mean inexcusable imprisonment. There's a silver battle axe. I wonder if it's got no description, but is worth quite a hefty sum. Copper great axe. Oh yeah, I did buy a bunch of copper weapons and bronze weapons, simply for the purpose that I could melt them down and use that metal for armor making. Copper is one of the essential components to craft bronze. You need tin and copper. I have like an overabundance of tin. Copper, however, is something that's far harder to come across in my fortress. Iron, I think I also actually, the iron might be just a side effect of the earlier weapons that I was producing before I really knew what I wanted to do with my my exploits. Okay, so we'll make this a room right there, used by justice. Okay, and we'll set up a door here. Want to use dark metal-y doors, so mica is a good color for that. I believe this is a mica door here, or a firelight. I think mica and firelight have the same texture. Not entirely sure, but mica is like the darkest colored stone that we've encountered so far. It's all this back here, contrasted with, I believe this is diorite over here, or galena, I guess, and that's phyllite. It's nice to have a pretty uniform color on the base of this structure. And in the 3D visualizer, I've looked at it and it looks quite awesome, but it's extremely dark down here in the commons. I've not looked at it since I've really started developing the area. I only looked at it when I had first reached the bottom, and I hadn't even dug out any of the interior sections of these buildings yet. So I imagine it probably looks pretty cool now. However, the 3D visualizer that I use doesn't display any of the items. And I was using Ogre Seer, and so all it shows is really just the layout of the fortress. And I don't think it can display things like smooth tiles versus engraved or regular tiles. It all just kind of looks like a block, similar to Minecraft, sort of. But it looks kind of nice. The problem with the 3D visualizer that I have, and the reason I haven't shown it on the recording yet, is simply because it crashes extremely frequently. Like, I guess it's running on an older version of DirectX or something, and it randomly crashes on my PC. I don't know why, but it's just rather annoying. I find it interesting they're not storing more alcohol here. Wonder if I have that disabled or something. Drink plant. Well, everything appears to be enabled. Because there's clearly no space left on the lower floor, and they've obviously got a bunch of alcoholic barrels sitting over here, but they're not using. Oh, I guess those are just empty barrels. That's fine then. Had a rather strange occurrence to happen to me earlier today when I was playing Dwarf Fortress. I had played not very far after the save where I'd ended the last video, and really all I did was kind of test out the visualizer, and I didn't really do anything else. But when I returned to Dwarf Fortress, I hit the 4 key on my keyboard, and it was kind of stuck, and I pushed out on it, and and it clicked to kind of like how a key becomes unstuck, and then my computer randomly crashed, like complete crash. I have no idea why. I guess that maybe the key that got stuck was um, like short circuited something. I don't know, but my computer's running fine now, so no worries. And I'm just going to go ahead and assign these doors to be placed. We still have our artifact door that I've not used anywhere. I don't know where I'm going to put it. And realistically, I don't think it's relatively as valuable as just a regular like gold door or anything. And I think it's just made of wood, so it's nothing special, really. But it does have a name, Amatsatal. And go ahead and start putting coffers down. I believe the layout I've always used is coffers on the right and cabinets on the left, so I'll continue that here. Ugh, I find it incredibly annoying that they're still making the coffers upstairs instead of making them here. Which means that number one, it's farther away, but more annoying than that, when I go to place them, I have to switch to the bottom portion because the pigtail fiber, llama leather, and ropery bags are all closer to my deployment area than the actual coffers are. And I don't want to use any of those things for placing in this room. But cabinets are nice because cabinets are cabinets and they don't have any cloth variants. Okay, so there's that. And we can go ahead and sign this also for justice. And, oh, I guess I need to resize. Oh, that's good. Probably should put a small amount of food stockpile, and I'll just limit this to drink. So block all, drink plant, permit. And I'll put one over here as well. Block all, plant, drink, oh whoops, permit. So that will ensure that our chained up dwarves, whoever they may be, will not be dehydrating to death anytime soon. Hopefully, we don't ever have to send too many people into the jail. Bunch of doors are coming out of the mason shop down here, and people are obviously getting into work here. About 30 people, I think, were just snapped into action to complete this construction section here. Once the doors are placed, I'll start making them into actual bedrooms, and then a bunch of random dwarves will come up and claim them. Also, Taco Truck informed me that dwarves apparently randomly claim bedrooms, or any room that's free, I guess, as long as it's free and probably not like critical like a barracks. Then they have the ability to just run up and take it. Never noticed that before, so learn something every day. I wonder if we have enough windows to start really. Yeah, we got 3. Mail shirt, only waiting on the shield and the greaves now. So in come a couple more dwarves with these nice, I believe those are firelight doors. Still haven't figured out where I want to put the hospital down here. or for that matter, the actual barracks. I still like the idea of having a military wing. It's just that actually designating that project would be a massive undertaking, since again we'd have to go all the way down to ground floor, or else we'd only have to make it 1 story tall, and that would be not conducive to proper action. So that's kind of a deterrent for me, just having to go through the channeling process again. So I know the commons is probably going to be the largest sector out of all of them. Nobles quarter will be over here if I ever get on that, and then of course the government sector here, and then the military here. And there's not very much room on this right side, but that would be excellent farmland right there. Okay, so people are bringing bins down to the weapon stockpile, and then we can check the contents of a bin here. Obviously got a couple of silver battle axes in there, and then a bunch of iron and copper stuff. Ooh, a nice silver crossbow. Let's take a look at this. Finely crafted silver crossbow encircled with bands of praise opal. And how about the silver battle axe? That has a plus sign. Ooh, it's worth 1,020. It's a very valuable battle axe. It's finely crafted silver battle axe. Okay. Gonna go ahead and designate out a armor stockpile as well. Armor is I guess I'll have to go to custom stockpile for that, and then go down to armor. The only material I want to put in here is going to be bronze, if I can find it here somewhere. I think I probably passed it somewhere up there. I didn't know all of those things counted as metals. It seems a little bit odd that like jewels count as metals. Never knew that. Where are you, you silly thing? Wow, okay, let me go up and refresh it. Bronze, right there, okay. There we go. So dwarves will come down there and dump all of the bronze armor and stuff right there for the taking. And I'm going to establish the temporary barracks right over here. I don't know how I want to do this exactly yet. Let's think. Gonna need coffers for random crap they have. Probably cabinets, so they can store their regular clothing in. Obviously armor and weapon racks. Is there what training implements do I have? Training. Looks like the only thing that I can use is archery targets. I will not be developing any crossbow dwarves at the moment, so no need for that. I guess they'll just have to be set to spar or something along those lines. A miner has been taken by a Fey Mood, so he will probably claim a craft dwarves workshop. And I kind of forget about it, but the majority of our fortress still kind of gathers on the top floor, and a lot of our industry is still up here. But I think we're kind of at the what is that called? It's like a point of no return, but there's a word for it. In any case, we're like at the point of no return, where more of our fortress is, starting to become here down towards the lower levels and away from the upper levels, simply by virtue of the fact that there are more beds down here and more stuff down here and more industry down here. So that's nice to have. So I'll set up all these bedrooms real quick, and I don't have to worry about assigning them. It's pretty awesome, because they will be assigned anyways. I guess I could use the word paradigm shift. It doesn't exactly fit the situation, but it's kind of similar. We're changing the horizons, if you will. The fortress is no longer going to be that incredibly pillar-oriented, right-angle driven, hallway-centered madness that lies above, but rather the rather large, building-oriented, highly wealthy sector below. Also extremely, compared to the upper levels, way, way more centralized. I mean, everybody is within like 100 paces from every building on this floor, which is pretty awesome. My one concern was about the traffic in the hallways, especially on the upper levels, since as the upper levels leave their area. Okay, he's claimed a mason's workshop. Where did he do so? Right there? Yeah. He has what he needs already. Apparently he's just going down to get it. Interesting that he's doing so. He's probably going to make us some furniture. That'll be nice. But like I was saying, on the upper levels, people will have to go down from their bedroom and then go down to this level, and people will be leaving their bedrooms and going down this level and leaving their bedrooms, and so on and so forth, until you've got a massive hallway clog. But as far as I've noticed, the rotations between sleeping, eating, and work seem to be going almost perfectly, and we don't ever have kind of that overflow issue. And of course, the fact that there's a meeting place and statue garden right here really helps keep our dwarves occupied and out of their rooms. Because if anything, we do not want our dwarves to be homebodies. We want them out and about, socializing and working for the betterment of the fortress. Okay, so he's grabbing what appears to be silk cloth. What else are you going to get? It's going out here. Probably going to pick up some gems off the floor that we can't see. Especially, yep, that's what he did, since he went off the traffic area. Going back down here to grab, ooh, metal, and that looks like gold. Nice. I suppose it could be bronze, but let's hope it's gold. Also coming down here to grab another piece of gold. That's always good. Any artifact that has large amounts of gold in it will be incredibly valuable. So, especially something like furniture that's going to be coming out of a mason's workshop. Although I suppose it really could just be something as simple as like, you know, a block. But let's hope it's not. I think it's about time we added another floor of tables. So go ahead and add that in. Looks like none of the thrones are very close to this area. 192 paces away is the closest. And that might be due to the fact that they have to traverse multiple Z levels and also go horizontal. And not vertical, but, up and down. What's going here? Door. Let's see, what kind of door do I want? Let's do firelight doors. Wonder if that job is completed yet. Still waiting on those few things to be completed. But it looks like there are a lot more chains complete. So I'll place those. I guess just one. Relative to the total amount. That is 25% of the chains, however. And someone's already moved food down there. Well, alcohol. Let's check the description. An exceptional ashen barrel. Well, that's wonderful. I'm also going to engrave the cell, because that will give our dwarves who are trapped in prison something to look at while they are down there. Plus, it gives our stone detailers something to do. So go ahead and put that on all the walls. I like engraved walls. I think they look way better than smoothed walls. The floor, you know, I think there's areas that look better with engraved floor than with smooth. But most areas, I think, are better suited to smooth floor, simply because I kind of like that cobblestone look to it. And obviously our stone detailers were idling because we now have like 15 people coming down here to do engrave stuff. We have like 6 legendary stone detailers now. So you'll see probably a bunch of message spam at the bottom of the screen about how someone has completed a legendary carving or whatever. Masterpiece carving or something like that. They've already finished that corner. Our legendary engravers can complete like a section of wall for engraving in like a second. Our more novice ones take a little bit longer. But I think engraving is a quicker process than smoothing anyways. And since we've got the windows, I'm just going to poke holes right here, and right here. And there will be 3 windows right there, and there'll be more on this floor as well. Just looking out over this nice little area. Okay, bronze shields are done, just waiting on the greaves. Chains set up, so let's go ahead and mark that for justice after making it a room. Yes, used by justice. Go ahead and set up a stockpile right next to it, right here, and make it a food stockpile. Go and change the settings. Want to block all, and then permit drink plant. Instead of a large water moving project like by pipes or by screw pumps or anything, I've considered just getting a bunch of buckets and dumping the water into a hole. Because we've got more than enough idling dwarves to make that feasible at least. The one concern I'd have about that though is whether or not we'd be able to get enough buckets to make all the dwarves do that. We'd have to craft somewhere in the neighborhood of like 100 buckets to get the full effect and really add to a decent amount of water. More message spam about engraving masterpieces on the bottom there. I'll take a look at a couple of these once they've carved them out. Always pretty cool to see what our dwarves are engraving. And I've learned a lot more about the history of the realm that we're in, or the world, than I have about our fortress, because not a lot has really happened in our fortress action-wise. As far as legends, really all we have to speak for is the massive wealth of our fortress, the nobility, and the artifacts that we've produced. And I've noticed a lot of these engravings, what they'll do is like an engraver will go up to a wall and he'll engrave like a flower or something, and then the guy next to him goes up and he engraves that engraver engraving the flower, and then the next guy comes up and engraves that guy engraving the guy, blah blah blah. So it's like a repeating infinite cycle of TV within a TV kind of concept. But I've seen that quite a bit actually. It's kind of funny. I've also noticed that these guys are pretty big ego whores, because are legendary engravers. Like every legendary engraving they do will be like of themselves doing a legendary engraving. It's very a very self-centered thing to do there. Engraved on the wall is a masterfully designed image of a black bullhead by Kadal Zibelrun. You can tell if it's legendary if it's got those little dwarf buck symbols by it, and it says detailed. Ooh, this is a long one. Engraved on the wall is a masterfully designed image of U2 Lost Nightmares, the Goblin, and there's a ton of stuff about this guy as well. And a dwarf by Kadal Ozolbranatha. The dwarf is striking down U2 Lost Nightmares. The artwork relates to the killing of the Goblin by a dwarf in sin crosses in the robust swamps in early autumn of Swirly during Dalafimdas, the riddle onslaught. Yeah, so that's actually a pretty common motif among our walls, is to engrave that story, which happened elsewhere. And actually that event occurred during the existence of my fortress. It wasn't something that occurred before. Because I started in year 5, and that happened in like year 8 or something. Engraved on the wall is a masterfully designed image of Dastot Pulse Channel, the dwarf, and a cow bone bracelet by Kadal Zobranith. Dastot Puddle Channel is raising the cow bone bracelet. The artwork relates to the masterful cow bone bracelet created by the dwarf Dastot Puddle Channel for the relief canyons at Mount Severe in the late spring of. Who knows what that number is supposed to be? It looks like a bracelet and a coffin. Yeah, but a good portion of these are basically about the goblin Lost Nightmares and him being struck down, about artists inscribing themselves on the wall, or they're about like someone else doing something that's supposedly fantastic, like creating a masterful work. And since many of our masterful works happen to be engravings, it often ends up being a picture in picture in picture in picture scenario. See if I can find one. Engraved on the wall is an image of a Lost Nightmares. Yep, another one of those. And you know, the masterful engravings, they aren't always longer or really more detailed than the regular engravings I found. And really all they do is give more room value. So it's worth it to check other ones, but as a general rule I try to avoid. What the heck is going on here? Tried doing that. Rat remains. Why is there a rat down there? Interesting. I've not seen a rat in this fortress since I tried to butcher that one rat that I cannot kill. It's in my animals and it's alive and I cannot toggle it for slaughter. I cannot make it a pet. I don't know what I can do with it except for just look at it. It's been taunting me for like 6 years. Let's check out some of these floor panels. Engraved on the floor is an exceptionally designed image of Weeksy Elderquest, the Cyclops. This is a new one. By Irith Kistein or Wiki Elderquest is laboring. The artwork relates to the settling of the Cyclops, Wiki Elderquest, in the robust swamps. So apparently the robust swamps needs to be a pretty volatile area if we've got a fortress being sieged there, if we've got the Cyclops settling in, and I've seen a couple other things about battles between goblins and humans. So let's see. Engraved on the wall is an exceptionally designed image of dwarves by Kadal Zolbalath. The dwarves are laboring. The artwork relates to the foundation of Mountain Severe. That's our spot. In the year of 5. That's the year. I know that. So I guess this sort of like half swirly, kind of like an infinity sign, but not, is a 5. Because I know that was the year I founded this fortress, in the year 5. It is now the year 11. It's 25th Sandstone, mid-autumn. Almost the year 12. And we can go ahead and, well, first I'm going to go ahead and make it so that these rocks are hidden to me, like so. And then I'm going to tell them to put glass windows in where these holes in the wall are. There we are. And if I had a statue, I would put it in the middle, but I don't think I have any good ones. Just siltstone. I don't really think they're worth their weight. Let's see, do you need something? Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Our dwarf, who is possessed right now, I think it's just an unnamed one. Yeah, Fath Minglath, has everything he needs, so he's begun his construction, and he's going to give us a pretty awesome artifact soon enough. And I think he's also going to get legendary masonry, since I don't think he was possessed. Pretty sure not. Someone just gave birth to puppies. Time to get a slaughtering. Let's see how many puppies we get to slaughter today. Just 2. But that's enough. We get 2 dead puppies and lots more meat. Well, not that much meat, but enough meat to last probably half a day. So that's good news. 100 idlers. That's something I never. I don't think I'd ever want to see that number. If this were not this fortress, I would find that number completely unacceptable. But given the circumstance, not much I can do about it. Seems like a lot of these idlers are also standing around and chatting. So, social relationships are important in Dwarf Fortress. They develop the kind of the story of your fortress almost as much as combat and the other things like industry do. Because that's the relationships between characters right there. Oh, here's our old mayor. Let's see what's up with him. He's down to a modest quarters. Yes, yes. No health problems. It looks like. Worships Volal, who I believe is the mountain volcano dude. Yeah, and also Vitek, who is the god of war and chaos, and passing acquaintances with everybody else. So, he's got a lot of past. Look at that. He knows a lot of people. Apparently, in his time as mayor, he dealt with a lot of consoling of the populace. Has been very happy. Slept in a very good bedroom. Admired a fine trap. Dined in a fantastic dining room. Admired fine, tastefully arranged table. And has been satisfied at work lately. Is a casual worshipper of Velal and a sort of a devout worshipper of Vitek. Has the appearance of somebody that is 56 years old and one of the first of his kind. So, I guess our old mayor, he's got things going well enough for him. I'll be sure to give him, somewhere nice to be, because he was our first democratically elected leader, the first person really that put the fortress more in the hands of the dwarves than in my hands, and realistically, that's the way it's been since that point. I may be able to designate things and do projects, but as far as controlling the populace goes, I can't do that anymore. That's just out of my hands completely. We've got 91 idlers, for goodness sake. Let's check who's all in here, see if anyone's talking. Elite Gamers, yeah, he does a lot of socializing nowadays. I bet he has a lot more relationships than he used to. Yeah, it looks like already. Look at that. Way more relationships than he used to have. And that's just because all he does now is worry about dealing with managing the jobs of the fortress. He doesn't have to worry about engraving or any of that stuff, or hauling or anything. Just talking to people, eating, drinking, and doing that one thing. Elite Gamer has been ecstatic lately, dined in a great dining room, admired her own fine bed, slept in a very good bedroom, had a fine drink, admired a fine table, wonderful drink, satisfied at work, admired a completely sublime, tastefully arranged statue lately. I'm imagining that's because the statue garden that she's in right now is the platinum statue area, which is really nice and valuable as far as our dwarves are considered. They consider this one amazing thing right there. Looks like all these bedrooms. Oh, they're not claimed yet. Look at that. People will randomly walk up in here and it'll become their bedroom. And it looks like for some reason these guys decided to claim rooms that didn't have any stuff in them. Like there's perfectly good unowned bedrooms with both a coffer and a cabinet that are completely unclaimed so far. But as dwarves get tired or sleepy or whatever, and they're moving through here, they will actually claim these bedrooms. And just to spur that development, I'm going to start laying out the next floor of bedrooms on this tower. And it occurs to me this episode's probably gone on for some time, but I don't really care at this point because I want to do this. I really like playing this fortress right now. It's something that is, I've never had a fortress that's like this developed or this secure in its goals as what I had intended it to be, which is pretty awesome. And I also really like doing the whole community participation thing, getting people involved and interested uh, just by including them in the actual gameplay. And that's one of the really awesome things about Dwarf Fortress is that it's kind of like uh, X3 or something, where you can actually put people in the game, and I think that really helps get the interest up. So it's always more fun for me too than just having random nameless dwarves. Now I can kind of put a face with a name, sort of, at least for some of the dwarves. I mean, some people just kind of leave random YouTube comments. I have really no idea who you guys are, but I'll put you in here anyways. So people from the forums I recognize, and that's always interesting to see what happens to them. One interesting develop I've noticed over last while that I hadn't really paid any attention to was the fact that Che Flagel had apparently become a legendary stone detailer. And the reason for that was because I randomly assigned a bunch of people to stone detail a long time ago, and now Che Flagel had just been on that detail because when I had removed a bunch of people, I kind of only removed them. I didn't look at the names. I just kind of removed them into big chunks. And Che Flagel was not on that list, and so he's been stone detailing and farming, and now he's a legendary grower as well as a legendary stone detailer. So that's pretty cool. Also, Chelsea 366 is a legendary stone detailer. There's a bunch of people who are legendary stone detailers simply by virtue of the fact that I smooth out and engrave a lot of stuff. So never really out of work if you're in stone detailing business. The mining one, you've got pretty fair share of work every now and then. But I definitely, at this point, having more miners is more of a detriment than it is helpful, because the more miners I have, the less one dwarf who is really good is able to do is in terms of actually completing their objective. We have the new artifact here called Aluthamas, a orthoclase coffer. That's what our dwarf has been working on down there in the mason's shop. Let's take a look at it. It's known as the defective depth. It's worth 142,800 dwarf bucks. Extremely valuable. It is an orthoclase coffer. All craft dwarf ship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with orthoclase decorated with giant cave spider silk and encircled with bands of orthoclase and gold. The object is adorned with hanging rings of milk opal and menaced with spikes of milk opal. On the item is an image of a guppy in ropereed fiber. On the item is an image of dwarves in gold. The dwarves are laboring. The artwork relates to the foundation of Mount Severe. Again, that's our fortress. In the early spring of 5. On the item is an image of Tesem Steelquested, the Hydra in gold. Tesem Steelquested is traveling. The artwork relates to the wandering of the Hydra Tesem Steelquested in the robust swamps in the mid-spring of... Is that 5? Yep, that's 5. Okay, so yeah, robust swamps. Apparently a lot of stuff goes down there. But again, that's pretty cool to have a really, really valuable coffer like that. And that will go to our Baron, because our Baron, or rather now our Count, and soon to be Duke, as soon as the caravan pops by for another visit, he'll become a Duke anyways. I'm going to go ahead and set that up right in here for now. And that should drastically improve the happiness of Joseph Stalin, the Count. And maybe as a sort of a side bonus, my character might see a little bit of boost in happiness, simply because she tends to wander around that abode for one reason or another quite often. Did I mark this area? Nope, I did not mark the interior for engraving. The interior wall, that is. Don't know why I didn't. There we go. I've never had a fortress with this much wealth. 1.3, almost 1.4 million in wealth. Admittedly, about 550,000 of that right there, about half, a little bit under half, is from basically our trade industry as well as artifacts. But then, look at the fact that 312,000 of it is from architecture. And that's just from me planning stuff out and engraving and stuff. So that's, ridiculously huge, realistically. And we're more than fit to become the capital of our civilization at this point. Duke Nukem has engraved a masterpiece. Let's take a look at our stocks again. I just want to check our population stats. 224 people, 32 stone workers, which means either masons or stone detailers. The majority of those are stone detailers. I have a few dedicated masons that aren't on stone detailing, like Linen Cat, and then we have a small minority that are mixed. Miners, those guys are probably, they were not originally miners, but since I had to channel out all that stuff, they gained enough skill to become miners. Which is good because that means if they were potash makers, they don't have to take up my potash making area. If they go crazy with a mood, they'll go to the craft dwarf's workshop and pump out some random totem or something. Woodworkers, 14. Those guys, they deal with chopping crap down and turning it into beds, basically. Primary use of wood in our fortress is beds, barrels, and bins, the 3 Bs. Metalsmiths, 14, despite the fact that almost no work is ever done on time by the metalsmiths. But then I suppose I do expect quite a bit of them. And that might even include the furnace operators. I'm not entirely sure. But furnace operators are definitely the majority of the metal industry dwarves we have. And they're the ones who turn ore into bars. And they're very good at their jobs. Always have a stockpile of stuff like that. 7 jewelers. Jeff Major is our primary jeweler, the only one allowed to use our jewelry workshop. So the other guys, I don't know what they do. I guess the other 6 are just kind of standing around doing nothing all the time. 26 craft dwarves. Only one person. Well, we have a rotating craft dwarves workshop, and then we have one dedicated for me qualification because I have the legendary craft dwarf skill. Korb also has legendary skill, but he has the one on the upper floor, so, don't see too much of Korb on the lower levels at the moment. Nobles and administrators, 14. Seeing as how there are only like 9 appointed ones, like official ones, that means we've got 5 bloodline nobles, and I don't think we've had any noble children yet. But obviously, the nobility of our fortress is increasing in prominence. Where it was mere like 4 towards the beginning of our fortress, we've increased, like 300% or whatever, a little bit over 300%. 4 peasants, surprisingly low number, and peasants are actually quite useful since all they do is haul stuff. And the only downside to peasants is obviously they don't have any skill. 21 dwarven children, that's ridiculous. These guys, admittedly, there are probably like 10 or so that are actual children and thus capable of performing some labors, but I can't assign them labors. But they'll do random crap. Problem is, they don't actually have any skill, and so they take 10 years to do anything, and they waste everyone else's time, since the people who could have done that job are busy not being able to use their workshop or tear down walls or whatever. 5 fishery workers. Don't have a fishery anymore because I tore it down since the river dried up. 50 farmers. Obviously, the overwhelming majority of our fortress consists of farmers. Well, I guess realistically it's a plurality. I mean, there's no single majority among this population, but definite plurality there. 5 engineers. And these people are either mechanics or siege engineers. I think the majority of them are mechanics. I do know we have a couple of siege engineers because we had someone who was a possessed siege engineer, and they used the siege engineer's workshop to produce something. Don't remember what exactly. And then 19 animals, most of which are pets because I cannot slaughter everything, unfortunately. 0 trained animals because I have not used the kennel for any purpose. But yeah, interesting lot there. I think all of our job orders should be finished. Yes, all we're waiting on now is me to actually set up the military. So I'll do that, and then I think I'm going to call it here at this episode. So to do that, let's go ahead and put some beds down here. We'll do 5 beds because there will be 5 dwarves here. We'll have Link and then 4 other dwarves. And now we need to deploy some coffers. We don't have any coffers, so instead I will put some... Nope, no cabinets either. Well, that's definitely not good. But let's go up a floor and tell the people to start working on some coffers. And some... What did I need? Cabinets. I know it's not good to do the repeated thing on there, but whatever. And we do have lots of these, though, so we'll put down armor stands. Use diorite, because that's a nice dark color. And we have weapon racks. Again, I'll just use diorite. And we've got... I think that's all we need, actually. So let's leave that. Dwarves will come down here and drop off all the crap they need. And our last gold chain was just finished, so put that down here. Oops. Well, apparently it has been completed, but no chain is available. Huh. Maybe it's because it's being moved at the moment or something. I don't know. But let's go to the military screen. And Tombs of the Flickering. This is Link. This is where he's at. We're going to assign... who to pick. I remember there was somebody in particular who was a very desirable warrior. And I remember doing that because it was in a video. Let's see if I can find who it was. I believe Sergeant Maggs was someone who should have been in the military. Put the old mayor in the military just for whatever's sake. Doc, no. Horizon Reynoldchrist? Royal Anarchist, there's that. Who was it? Who was that person? Pineapple Joe. Yep, that was it. And the last one in our squad here will be... who should it be? Who should it be? Obviously, I'm not going by skill here. I'm just picking people. Because if you'll see in the top left it says not wrestler, that just means they have no military skill. If there's anyone here with any skill, that it'll actually show it. Oh, yeah, someone had skill there. A competent wrestler. Oh, he's a weaponsmith, though. We don't want to give him up. So obviously we have a lot of not wrestlers in our fortress. Alright, we'll pick hard choice. I'm gonna put Karakoran in the military. Alright, so let's go ahead and there'll be more people in the military. This is just gonna be our first squad and our first permanent squad anyways. If I need to, I can scramble a whole bunch of squads in an alert situation. So let's go to the equipment screen. The uniform that I want to do is going to be metal armor. And Shift Enter. Use for squad. Everybody should be using metal armor. Good. I thought there was a way to like create your own uniform list. Oh yes, it appears you can add uniform right there. And I would like to make one just completely out of bronze. So to do that, I'm going to go over here, uniform 4. This is the one that I made here. Go into male shirts. I guess what? Hold on a second. Is that right? I thought there was a way to be more specific with your designations here, but no matter. We'll go ahead and pick those two. Other shirt, breastplate. I don't get it. Should be more here. Boots. Oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense. That's why. Okay, shield. Helm. Pick helms. Weapon, we want to pick battle axes. Armor. Oops, I picked the wrong one. Go back to uniforms. Armor, yeah. Material, that's how I can do it. Yeah. Okay. I want to only use bronze for all of these. Only bronze. Whoopsie. Keep accidentally swapping into a new area. I know this is probably horrible to watch, but, you know, I don't care at this point. It's really late, and I want to freaking make my military already. So that's what I'm doing. Bronze. Bronze is a pretty awesome material, quite frankly. Because the only reason that we stopped using bronze and started using iron is because we ran out of bronze. So it's pretty awesome to be able to have a bronze army. Kind of like Spartans, but they're dwarves. Alright, so we have mail shirts, breastplates, helms, high boots, shields. We need leggings, specifically greaves. And greaves are the big metallic versions of leggings. Bronze ones, we have plenty of that. Then gloves. I don't think I actually made any gauntlets. I don't think so, because I didn't have enough actual bronze in the whole fortress. Have the same problem that the ones elsewhere did. Ooh, we can dye it different colors. Cool, but no, it's gonna be good this way. And can I name this thing? Can I name this uniform? Yes, I can. This will be called the Bronze Shields, for that infamous unit from Rome Total War. Alright, so I think that's everything. A mail shirt, a breastplate, helm, greaves, high boots, shields, and a weapon. Battle axe. Pretty sure that's everything. Okay, good. Now we just need to go ahead and swap back to Tombs of the Flickering, which is the name of this squad, and go back to equip. Actually, go to uniform. No, wait, we're going to go back to equip. And we want to go to... Wait a minute, can I... Is that what I do? How do I go about picking a uniform? Maybe this does it. If I go back to the equipment screen. Huh. Not entirely sure about that. Well, I think I've done enough meandering on this screen, and it's about time that I ended this video. So, if people who are knowledgeable about things in the military, because I'm not very knowledgeable, most of the time I've used scrambled militias to defend the fortress, and with expectably poor results. But I'm sure there are people out there who know lots about this stuff, and I'm talking to you, Taco Truck. But if you know how to specify that a squad use the uniform that I've created, then let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now and see you guys in the next episode.